Hey there, Fletcher from All Things Overlanding here, and today on this episode of the podcast, I'm going to be talking about my 3 favorite pieces of overlanding gear. Now, there are a million of these things, right? So I had to kind of break it down into just a few to kind of keep it consumable for these episodes. I want to make it not too long for you guys. So I'm going to be talking about my top 3 pieces of overlanding gear that I use a ton in the fall. So if you're looking for some good recommendations, some short and sweet recommendations on good gear to use in the fall, this is going to be a great episode for you. If you are on YouTube, definitely consider clicking that subscribe button below because I do a weekly podcast episode like this, plus a ton of gear videos and modifications, do-it-yourself mods, budget-minded stuff. So if you're looking to learn more about overlanding, this is a great place for you, and I'd love to have you as a subscriber. So let's get into my top 3 pieces of overlanding gear that I use every fall.
Where it came from, but you got it, my got it. It began in the land of the sandstorm. I fought it, though I wanted everything to do with what you give to me. Loosening my grip.
All right, guys, so as I mentioned in the intro, today I'm talking about my top 3 pieces of fall camping gear. And as you can see, the leaves are starting to change here if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, I'm just telling you, it's beautiful. The leaves are starting to turn yellow, red. They're beautiful. And I'm out in Hoosier National Forest, my kind of local national forest where I come quite a bit. I'm going to be spending the night here. It's going to get down into the high 30s, low 40s tonight. So I brought some stuff with me to keep me comfortable and happy. And I'm going to talk to you about those 3 pieces of gear. So let's start off with my first piece of gear that I really love, and that is rechargeable hand warmers. Now, these are from a company called Ocoopa, and I'm going to, again, if you're on the YouTube channel or on Spotify, I will show you this in the video. Otherwise, I'll describe it for you guys so you kind of know what I'm talking about. I will put a link in the description down below to everything that I talk about in this video too, so you can easily find it if you're looking for some piece of gear that you maybe don't have already that you hear about in this episode. So these things are awesome. They are just basically rechargeable lithium batteries that have a heating element built into them. And what that does is it makes it really easy to reuse. You don't need any sort of like chemicals like those old butane ones that you had to put like fluid in and basically like burn and have smoldering in your pocket. This thing is actually just a rechargeable heating element basically. You can also use these as a flashlight. So it does have a light in it, which is really nice. And it's also could be used as a power bank. So these things have multiple uses, which when you're camping, when you're overlanding, if you're like me, you like to have stuff that has more than one use. I right now, will give you a good example. I just headed out here after a week-long vacation with my family, so I didn't really get to pack most of my things. So I actually don't have a power bank for tonight to charge my phone. So I think I'm gonna use one of these just to keep my phone charged up so that when I wake up tomorrow morning, it's not dead and I can navigate my way out of here and get home. So again, having things that have multiple uses is really nice. But these things are so easy to use. There's basically a button here on the top that you hold for a few seconds, and when you hold it, it's going to turn on the lights there. And you're going to see, you know, if you hit it again, it's going to turn on a second. If you hit it again, it's going to turn on a third. They're basically 3 levels of heat. So 1 being the lowest, 3 being the hottest. It heats up really fast too. Within maybe 15, 20 seconds, this thing starts to get really hot. But then you can take this and you can put it inside of your pocket here and keep your hands warm, keep your pockets warm. I'll throw them inside my sleeping bag sometimes at night. Like again, tonight it's going to be in the high 30s, low 40s. I have a 0-degree bag with me, so I should be pretty comfortable if I zip up all the way. But I didn't bring a diesel heater or anything like that. If we get down into colder temps, I will probably bring the diesel heater, but having these things can be a lifesaver. And again, tonight I'm going to use these things to help keep me warm in my sleeping bag so I don't have to be totally mummified in it. But these things are also really reasonably priced. And again, I will put a link in the description down below to them so you can find them. These are some of the nicest ones that I've seen. I've used quite a few of these from different brands, but these Ocoopa ones are really, really nice. They're also waterproof, so there's that, which is a nice advantage. If you drop them in some snow or something, or if it's sleeting or freezing rain or snowing, you don't have to worry about them getting ruined because they get wet. So that'll do it for item number 1, which is the Ocoopa electric rechargeable hand warmers. Now there's a pair of these, you get 2 of them, but again, very reasonably priced, link in the description down below. All right, so my next item, I have it sitting on my lap here, and this is my Helinox rocker legs. Now, I'll put a card up here in the top right corner. I actually did a video about these things to kind of show them off a little bit ago. Short little video, so if you want to see more about them, definitely click through that card if you're on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, go over to the YouTube channel and look for Helinox rocker legs, and you will find it. Make sure to subscribe over there too, because a lot of this stuff that goes up on YouTube, you don't really see on the audio podcast. So check out the YouTube channel to see more on these things. But basically what these are is they come in a nice little bag. They take up very little room, and they attach to my favorite chair of all time, which is my Helinox tack tactical sunset chair. I'm sitting in it right now. This thing is super comfortable. It's high backed so that it's very nice, especially if you're taller like me, you want to lean back at a fire, you know, and be comfortable. It's an amazing chair, and I've had it for several years, and it held up extremely well. It's built of really thick material. It's built by Helinox, so you know it's really well made. But so someone recently released these rocker feet, and you can literally just attach these to the bottom of your feet and turn it into a rocking chair. Now, again, the cool thing about that, though, is comfort, right? So when it's fall time, it's not quite cold enough to be winter yet, which you may not spend as much time outside. A lot of times we end up in our tents with the diesel heaters running early. But in the fall, you're going to spend a lot of time sitting around a fire, right? That's my favorite thing to do. It's my favorite part of being out here is smelling the smell of a wood smoke and, you know, seeing the leaves changing and things like that, and just spending time with friends. So to make it more comfortable and make the chair that I've loved and have had forever even more comfortable, the Helinox rocker legs make a big difference and take that great chair and make it even more fun and more usable and more comfortable for fall camping trips. Okay, so then third, that was a quick one. Again, this is going to be a short episode because I just want to knock these things out for you guys, give you some tips for fall camping stuff. So again, I hope this is helpful. So the third thing is this Ignik fire can. This thing is awesome. So I've used this in West Virginia. I've used this on the shores of Lake Superior up in mouth of the Huron. I've used this all over the place. And when you have like a fire ban, or when you have, you know, places that you can't have a fire, or when I used it in West Virginia, I was actually at like an established first come, first served campground because I got in really late and I wanted to make sure that I had a place, and I snuck right in there, but none of the gas stations around were open. I couldn't buy any firewood. There was a fire pit, but I didn't have any firewood. So I didn't really have a way to have a fire, but I just popped this fire can out. You know, it's all self-contained. You've got the hose for it in here. You've got the regulator built into it so you can control the flame and everything. It's got legs that pop down out of the bottom that make it so that you can set it up pretty much anywhere. So it's super usable and super nice to just be able to have a nice warm fire. You can even cook on these things. The other thing about them is that they're super small because they're basically the size of an ammo can, right? So I actually keep this in my drawers in the back of my truck all the time. So again, like in West Virginia, I didn't really plan on using it, but when I pulled in there and I was like, oh shoot, I went to like 2 gas stations and they were both closed. It was like 9 o'clock at night. And I was like, well, I can't get firewood. Am I going to sit in the dark and like eat my dinner? Or am I going to turn on some lights and attract all the bugs? Or can I just turn on this fire pit? And again, having this little tiny ammo can sized fire pit that has everything contained inside of it that, again, you could even cook on if you wanted to. It gives you a ton of flexibility in your setup, and it's something that's pretty easy to store behind a seat or in the bed of a truck or in a Plano crate or something like that, so that you've got some options for those situations when you can't have a fire. Also, again, if you're out west somewhere and you just can't have fires because of fire bans or things like that, a propane fire pit is an awesome alternative that allows you to enjoy sitting around a campfire without having to worry about burn bans. So that has become one of my favorite pieces of gear. I've had that for maybe a year and a half or two. I've actually had 2 of them, and I love this one. This one is, and I'll link to it in the description down below, but it puts out a really good flame, a ton of heat. It's really, really super nice. It's extremely well built. My Ignik stuff has all been bulletproof, so I do love this fire can for sure. So if you're looking for, you know, again, a way to make fires way easier, now you have to bring propane with you. I keep a 5-pound propane tank in the back of my truck strapped to my bed rack all the time. When I know I'm going on longer trips, I'll bring a 20-pound tank with me. Just to make sure that I've got plenty, right? But most of the time that 5-pound tank will run this thing for, you know, multiple nights, 3, 4, 5 hours a night for multiple 2, 3 nights probably on a 5-pound tank. So it's pretty efficient and it works really, really well. Okay, so those were my 3 favorite pieces of fall overlanding / camping gear. What are yours, right? Post up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Are there things that you can't live without in the fall? Do you disagree with some of these? Do you agree with them? Love to hear from you guys in the comments down below. As I mentioned earlier in the video / podcast, if you're listening on the podcast, if you're not already subscribed on YouTube, make sure to click that subscribe button on YouTube. If you are listening on the podcast, add it to your favorites, leave a 5-star review. That's hugely helpful, and it makes it easier for you to find it. Also in the description below will be a link to all my other social channels, so wherever you want to come hang out, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, I'm everywhere, and I'd love to have you wherever you want to hang out. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, below this video is a join button. That's just kind of a passive way to support the channel. It'll get you early access to the videos and these podcasts, so plus some other perks. So if you're looking for a way to support the channel and you want some early access to the podcasts and the videos, that's an easy way to do it. If you want a more active way to be involved with all things overlanding, there is the Patreon group, which is linked down below as well. That is a really active way. We've got a 24/7 Discord where we all kind of chat about our gear and our rigs all the time. We do a once-a-month Zoom call where we hang out and drink a beer and just chat about what's going on in life and everything. everything, and it's a lot of fun. And then we're trying to get together in person once or twice a year, which is also awesome. We've had our first one. It was in between the lakes. We had a few people show up, but it was a good time. We hit some awesome trails and had some amazing waterside campsites. So if that sounds good to you, definitely consider that Patreon link down below. There's also a link in the description below to my website where I've got funny camping, overlanding themed patches and stickers. Things like I hate people so I camp, or F people, let's go overlanding, or all things overlanding merch too. So if you want any patches or stickers or anything like that for your headliner or your fridge or your windows, that's a good place to get those. And then last but not least, there's a link to the Newbie Overlanders Facebook group. Totally free to join. Awesome group of folks. Different from the big groups because there's no bullying, and it's a ton of new folks asking questions, and then more experienced folks that are tired of the bullying that came over to help those people. So there's actually a ton of good conversations in there, and it's a ton of fun. But again, thanks so much for watching. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.